It's Monday, July 29th, 2024, and this is the Climate One audio newsletter. I'm producer Austin Colon.
And I'm producer Megan Basilia.
This week, Climate One is going for green at the Paris Games. The Summer Olympic Games are here, and that means more than 300 events, 10,000 athletes, and millions of spectators coming to watch. And the athletes are not the only ones with an Olympian task. The organizers of the Paris Games have pledged that their event will only emit half of the carbon pollution as the 2012 London Games. In order to make that happen, they are trying to do more by doing less. For example, instead of building huge new structures, organizers have renovated a number of existing venues and installed numerous temporary structures that can be used elsewhere in the future. So what can we learn from the Paris Games that can transcend the big event and inspire emissions reductions? To find out, listen to our latest episode at climateone.org or wherever you get your pods.
And if you're in the Bay Area and want to join us for a live recording of Climate One, then listen up, because we have 3 upcoming events with some very exciting guests. The first one is August 27th at 6 p.m. at the Commonwealth Club, featuring the billionaire investor and climate organizer, Tom Steyer. He'll be in conversation with Climate One host Greg Dalton, and they'll talk about politics, money, and power. That's Tuesday, August 27th. Then, on September 16th at 6 p.m., environmental icon Jane Goodall returns to Climate One to reflect back on her life's work. She'll also talk about how we can heal our relationship with nature by better understanding ourselves. She'll be joined by Greg and Rhett Butler, founder of the nonprofit media organization Manga Bay. That's at the Sidney Goldstein Theater on Monday, September 16th.
And that same week, on Wednesday, we'll be joined by Justin Pearson. You may know Justin as one of the legislators who was kicked out of the Tennessee House for protesting in support of common-sense gun regulation. He's also a strong advocate for climate and environmental justice. The Sierra Club recognized him as the 2023 National Changemaker of the Year. He'll talk about all that and more with Greg at the Commonwealth Club. That's Wednesday, September 18th.
Tickets for all of our events can be purchased at climateone.org.
And now here's what we're reading this week. Kamala Harris replaces Joe Biden as Democratic candidate and excites climate activists. Vice President Kamala Harris has succeeded President Joe Biden as the presumptive Democratic Party nominee for the upcoming presidential election. This is a change that has elicited strong praise from climate activists. Cutting her teeth in California, a state that often leads the nation on climate policy, Harris has extensive experience with complex environmental issues. Harris has taken fossil fuel corporations to court over pollution and their dissemination of disinformation about climate change. As vice president, Harris cast the tie-breaking vote in favor of the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the nation's largest investment in renewable energy and climate resilience. And as a candidate for president during the 2020 Democratic primary, Harris proposed the second largest climate spending package after Senator Bernie Sanders. Harris is only a few days into her role as a presidential candidate and has yet to outline many details of her own platform. But her early statements on environmental policy indicate a strong desire to defend Biden's climate legislation from Republican attacks. The approach by Harris to climate issues could not be more different from that of Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, a contrast you can learn more about in last week's edition of our newsletter. And for more context on Harris's stance on climate, tune into our special episode from the 2022 election featuring an interview between Harris and the team behind A Matter of Degrees.
New candidate, new energy. And here are the rest of the headlines we're keeping an eye on. From Drilled, everything you need to know about Project 2025's plan for the EPA. From The Hill, Manchin and Barrasso announce permitting reform deal, breaking lengthy impasse. From The Guardian, millions of U.S. low-income households face power shutoffs amid deadly heat. From Grist, wind turbines rarely fail, so why did Vineyard Winds fall apart? Those were the headlines, but hey, this is important too. There are just a few days left to submit a nomination for Climate One's annual Stephen H. Schneider Award for Outstanding Climate Science Communication. Anyone can submit an individual for consideration regardless of whether you personally work in the climate field. Past recipients include Katherine Hayhoe, Robert Bullard, Ben Santer, and Naomi Oreskes. Complete criteria for the award is available on our website, climateone.org. Submissions will be accepted through July 31st. That's this week.
All right, let's connect the dots. Ecuador has long relied on crude oil exports for job and tax revenue, but after a decade of organizing efforts by local climate activists and indigenous communities, the people of Ecuador voted last year to halt all oil extraction in Yasuni National Park, home to the Amazon rainforest. Just 3 months later, Ecuadorians voted Daniel Noboa into office as their new president, and Noboa immediately called for a resumption of oil drilling in Yasuni. As an increasing number of nations call for a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty and consider bans of their own, all eyes are on Ecuador. Can fossil fuels be defeated at the ballot box? Join Zipporah Berman, Kevin Koenig, and Climate One to find out.
One more thing here. Do you work outdoors, in a kitchen or a warehouse, or at another workplace where you're feeling the heat? Have rising temperatures impacted the way you do your job? We want to hear your story. Please send us an email at climateone@commonwealthclub.org or leave us a voicemail at 650-382-3869 and let us know how climate change is affecting you on the job, and we might use it in an upcoming episode. And that's it for this week's Climate One audio newsletter.
Thanks for listening.